Too critical of the Simpsons. Hello again. Welcome to me being too critical of those Simpsons once more. The idea of this, for those of you not familiar, is I do a summary of the most recent episode of The Simpsons, in which I do it kind of like a radio play, doing voices from famed web series The Simpsons, which are just bad impressions. Some of them are alright. Yeah? Yeah, and then I criticize it. Talk about why it's shit. Because they're always shit. Except when they're like okay, which is once in every 5 years. Now, yeah, we'll go right into it. This one is season 27, episode 8, Paths of Glory. And it aired on December 6th, 2015. This is a fucking kind of long summary, so let's get right into it. Here's the summary! Okay, so this is Lisa. I am competing in an alternate energy derby with a solar-powered car. Oh, I lost. My car fucked up. Then, a bunch of the town boys are there suddenly, and it's basically all the nerds and all the bullies from school. Oh, and Ooter is there, too, by the way.
You lost because you're a girl.
Then they all fuck off. Boo-hoo-hoo. I'm sad about.
I'm that old Jewish guy. Don't worry, little girl. They also laughed at Amelia Vanderbuckle.
Who the shit is that?
She was Springfield's original lady inventor, but she went nuts.
Later in Lisa's room.
I'm Googling Amelia Vanderbuckle. She made a mechanical shaving machine that cut off a guy's head, so they put her in the insane asylum. But she kept working on inventions while in there. So Bart, we should break into the old abandoned insane asylum that I guess is still there, even though Amelia Vanderbuckle was born in the 1800s. And we should find the inventions to prove Amelia was scientifically significant. I will do it because we get to break into an insane asylum. In the insane asylum, I find a wax cylinder with Amelia's voice on it. I'll play it on this convenient wax cylinder player.
Oh, hi, it's me, Amelia. I made an awesome invention that a guard hid for me somewhere for, like, I don't know, like a girl in the future to dig it up or whatever. Thanks, I'm Amelia.
I don't really care about this, so I wander around and find the diary of a crazy guy writing about killing people and stuff.
So then Bart's behind the school with Ralph, Nelson, Milhouse, and a black kid who I don't even know if he's ever had a line spoken on the show.
Here, check out this crazy guy's murder diary. I rip pages out of the diary and give some to all of you dudes. I find the diary scary. It's me, Chief Wiggum. I'm here to pick up Ralph for tap dancing class, which they keep mentioning like it's a funny idea, but it isn't.
All the boys except Ralph run off when they see Chief Wiggum, as though they're in trouble for some reason, being behind the school reading a diary. I don't know why.
You appeared scared, my son Ralph. What hath scared thee? Bart's scary murder journal. Oh, I can't believe Bart wrote this.
So then Wiggum goes to the Simpsons' house.
Bart wrote a murder journal, and I think he's a sociopath.
Oh no! I guess that's just the way it is. Homer, Bart appears to be a sociopath.
So then Milhouse comes to the door.
I have violent old weapons or something at my house for Bart to come and see. No! You must play with Lisa instead. Because Bart's a sociopath, I think, you know.
So then Lisa and Milhouse go for a walk around the town.
Amelia's journal, which I have here now, says her invention is buried in the basement of the Springfield Suffragette Society. The plot is about this again now. Turns out the Suffragette Society is now a Hooters, which is called Knockers in the Simpsons world. Let's try to go in.
Hi, I am the manager of this Knockers. Get the fuck out. So then Marge and Homer are still at home fucking around.
I found a test online that will tell us if Bart is a sociopath.
It says sociopath test on the front, so we can't let him see that.
Oh, homie, you're right. We will stick a label on the test so the title says, "Are you a ski dude or a motocross maestro?"
It's a good idea. Then they go to Bart's room.
Bart, take this test.
Then they leave.
While I'm taking the test, the label falls off and I see it's a sociopath test. I Google sociopath. Oh, they think I am a sociopath, do they? I will change my answers to show that I am a sociopath and spook 'em good. Mom, Dad, here is the test.
He is a sociopath. What'll we do?
We must do whatever he wants. That is the obvious solution here, of course. Definitely. Then there's a montage set to Crazy Train of them letting Bart do whatever he wants, which is he like throws food everywhere and he gets to drive the car and skateboard indoors and throw baseballs at Homer's face till he dies from the look of it or passes out or something. And then the last thing in it is Bart wakes Homer up in the middle of the night and makes Homer leave his bed so that Bart can sleep in it next to Marge, which is weird. Some Oedipal ass shit. Anyway, that's that montage. So then Lisa's back at the Hooters or the Knockers, whatever you want to call it, with Milhouse.
It's me, Willie, dressed up as a hot babe. I am helping you break into the basement and find the invention because I hate knockers due to a Scottish reason. I have a jackhammer and I jackhammer open the floor.
And back at the Simpsons house.
Oh, Bart is too many trouble, 'cause he gets to do whatever he wants. We must call the number on the bottom of the online test.
So then later,
Bart, we are throwing you a birthday party, even though it is not your birthday yet. We have a bounce castle going there.
All right, I love to bounce castle.
turns out the bounce castle is attached to the car, and we drive Bart to a facility of some sort. So inside the facility, Bart is there with a bunch of other crazy kids.
Hello, I am a man from the military, and we want emotionless kids like you to use to test Air Force drone simulators. Yeah.
So then back at the Simpsons house.
Oh, I feel bad about it.
As do I. And now Lisa's holding a press conference for the town with Amelia Arbuckle's invention on the stage.
I found Amelia Arbuckle's first invention. Turns out it's a loom that takes punch cards and can do math.
None of the audience seems to care.
Wait, this is a very important discovery, Glaven, because it's basically the first computer ever.
So still nobody seems to really care, but they clap and cheer anyway. Then back at the military facility.
I'm having fun blowing people up and stuff with this drone simulator.
It's me, the military man. Turns out the simulator was real and you are killing people.
It's not okay with me.
You clearly have emotions and are not a sociopath, so you have to go home. Also, it was a simulation. You didn't kill anyone at school.
So Bart comes home.
I'm home. I'm not a sociopath.
Oh, we love each other.
And then in the Springfield Museum of Natural History.
The Amelia Vanderbuckle Computational Loom is here with a plaque that says it's donated by me, Lisa Simpson. I'm immortal. I'm the best. But nobody really wants to see the invention. Everyone still finds it boring.
And then it's back at the house again for a final gag. Now the loom, Amelia Arbuckle's loom, is now back in the house for some reason. I put in punch cards to make the loom draw a picture of a sexy bikini woman.
Oh, I am home.
Oh, I must hide my sexy bikini woman sewing thing. What a funny joke. It's fucking over finally. Now for criticism. Okay, so, the first thing I'm gonna say is thank fuck I didn't do a Simpsons of this. Jesus. Because it's, the plot seems really basic, but it's actually insane. Like, stuff like Days of Future Future, or maybe like Let's Go Fly a Coot, the one about Grandpa's Air Force buddies and stuff, which has like 5 different plots that don't go anywhere. That might have been one of the most obnoxious, like, long ones to summarize to do a Simpsons of, because just so many different plots and they all went nowhere. This one, though, there's only 2 plots, really. There's Lisa is trying to prove Amelia Arbuckle is scientifically important, and Homer and Marge think Bart is crazy, and that's it. And it's only 2 plots, but it's surprisingly nuts, because that was a massively long summary, because I couldn't figure out a way to, I always cut out, as you do in a summary, you cut out the things you don't really need to mention, and I felt like I had to mention almost every scene. I don't understand why, though. It's because it seems as though the Bart plot is really simple. It's, Homer and Marge think Bart's crazy. I just said. Homer and Marge think Bart is crazy, but the actual things that happen are really weird. It goes, they think he's crazy. He knows they think he's crazy. He gets to do whatever he wants. They get sick of him being able to do whatever he wants. So he goes to the military. They call a number and he goes to the military. Then he doesn't want to be there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's so fucking, but it felt that way when I was watching it. It meanders really oddly, like it's technically focused, but at the same time it isn't. I don't even understand why. I don't know how to explain it. I know the one thing is, they do this occasionally now where that's how in the old days the Simpsons used to do that, where they'd start with a plot that seemed completely unrelated, and it kind of was. Like the one where Homer gets the used trampoline, that plot's not really about the trampoline. I don't even honestly, there's so many Simpsons that begin with these amazing non sequiturs that somehow lead into the plot, which I always thought was very cool when they knew how to do it, and it was actually kind of subversive in a way, because there was something about back in the day, The Simpsons was almost making fun of the idea of sitcom plots and just going like, our catalyst to start this plot can be anything. We can do whatever we want. And that's really cool. And actually, this is quite the comparison, but that's Kafka-esque. That was sort of Franz Kafka's whole thing. That's why in the opening moments of a story, you can really throw anything at anybody and people accept it. I just saw John Mulaney, a comedian, he has a special on Netflix, talking about how nobody questions how in Back to the Future that Doc Brown and Marty are friends. Doc Brown is a disgraced nuclear physicist and Marty's just a high school kid. Why do we never question it? And it's like, because it's in the beginning. Like, I honestly think that's a big part of it. It's in the beginning. We just accept it. It's fine. So they used to do that in The Simpsons. They used to give you something in the beginning. And then I have memories of like openings of Simpsons episodes that I love. And then you go back and you think, where did that lead? And sometimes you can't think of what episode it is. I remember this is when it was getting bad, but it's still not I think it might be the one where Lisa becomes a vegetarian. I think. Oh no, I'm sorry. Not vegetarian. It's when Lisa becomes a Buddhist. That's what it is. Homer blows up the church, and somehow this leads into the plot about Lisa becoming a Buddhist, I do believe. But, the beginning had very little to do with the ending, and now they don't really know how to do that, and it just feels like strings of non sequiturs. It feels like every piece doesn't make sense, and none of them make sense with each other. Sometimes they don't within their own... A section doesn't even have its own internal logic that really adds up. What they did here, they did a really weird misdirection, but, like, I almost... When they do these things, I don't know if they do it on purpose anymore, or if it's just because they run out of material for one plot and get distracted and go, we like this plot better now. Like that one that had the fucking Maggie's Extraordinary Animal Adventure, where the other plot is about Selma and Patty quitting smoking, and then they're like, what about this? Maggie's Extraordinary, and suddenly the plot that seemed like the first plot gets overshadowed by this fucking stupid plot about Maggie trying to rescue an opossum from being eaten by Cletus. So it's weird, because this one, they focus for a while on Lisa's thing with trying to prove this inventor was a legit science thingy, but then just partway through it, suddenly Bart finds a crazy person's diary. And now it's about Bart. And now it's about how Homer and Marge think Bart's crazy. But the thing is, they don't abandon the other plot, and they just focus on it less. So it seems like an accident. After Bart finds that diary, Lisa's plot is literally 3 scenes? 3 scenes. Because the last couple where she's in the museum are really just like tags. It's just a joke. It's not really important. It's 3 scenes, essentially. All right, fine. She gets a plaque. I mean, whatever. But it's Lisa and Milhouse go to the knockers. They don't let them in. So they come back later with a plan that we didn't see formulated. And Willie helps them break into the basement. And then Lisa's got the invention. And then she does her press conference, and that's it. Nobody gets whatever. Like, why would I don't? So then they have all this stuff happening that has no consequence to it. Oh, you can't come in the knockers. Okay. So then a plan off screen is formulated, and then they break into the basement. And nobody cares. Like, like what a weird idea. Because they're doing stuff. They're going on an adventure, and they're cutting out all the adventure parts of it. And it's also weird that it's Milhouse. He's just kind of there. He's not that important. It's almost just like the part where Marge finds out, oh, maybe Bart's a sociopath. She just goes, well, you can't hang out with Bart because he's a sociopath, so hang out with Lisa. Suddenly, Milhouse takes the place that Bart was in a moment ago. Bart was the one adventuring around with Lisa going to the insane asylum. Now it's Milhouse. Okay. It's so weird. I mean, this one is, if I'm being honest, I'm a little bit at a loss for why it's so bad. But it's bad. I guess the one thing, as I just said, was there are adventure elements, there are sort of exciting elements that for some reason are skipped over. They're deliberately skipped over. It also totally does feel like they did a misdirection thing. You thought it was a Lisa plot, but it's more of a Bart plot. But I don't think they were thinking it through. I think I really wonder with these plots these days when they write them, if they just write as much as they can and they go, you know what, I can't think of anything else for the Lisa plot. Let's just write more about Bart this time. I know we started with Lisa, but who cares? Nobody's watching this show. But anyway, so that the thing, it becomes, the Bart plot becomes the important thing. And I don't know, maybe the reason it's so weird is because I don't know who I'm supposed to care about in it. I can't actually tell you if it's more of a Bart plot or if it's more of a Homer and Marge plot. Because Homer and Marge go through more emotions. They're the ones who, I guess, it's very sloppy. Whatever. They feel worried about their son, and they feel bad that they sent him away to some facility. Which it's not clear they know what that is. They just kind of take him to that place, and it turns out to be the military, or the Air Force, or both. Does that make sense? Because that's how it is in the show. I was wondering this. The guy says, I'm from the military, you're going to test Air Force drones. Is that normal to have those two government factions just be together like that? Or I really don't know enough about the murder we do in this country of others, not of ourselves. Well, and ourselves. I think I would say Homer and Marge are the ones who kind of go through more of a, development that's being very generous. But they're the ones kind of going through emotional ups and downs a bit. Whereas Bart's plot is really he just has fun the whole time. He makes them think he's crazy, so he has fun. And then at the end he goes to the drone place and he has fun there. Until he thinks that he's killing real people. And then for a moment, he's upset. And that's the only difference. He goes, I'm sorry, I was trying to be a sociopath. Turns out I don't want to be a sociopath because I don't want to actually kill people. I guess just in terms of, there's no real character anything, and it's unclear who I'm focusing on. Is it a Bart story or is it a Homer and Marge story? And I guess the reason it's so weird is ultimately it's hard to say what the conflict is in that story. I mean, it's that Bart is a sociopath, but I guess the conflict is Bart is pretending to be a sociopath. When is he going to stop pretending to be a sociopath? The reason that doesn't really work is because for that to work, Bart has to be being a horrible asshole, and he has to be in the wrong, or at least more in the wrong than Homer and Marge. And in this case, Homer and Marge are so stupid. And I know Homer's supposed to be dumb, but, Marge isn't supposed to be this fucking dumb, is she? But, it was just as I said it when I summarized it. Wiggum goes, this diary scared my son, and it seems to be this diary of a sociopath. They don't even notice the pages are fucking old. They don't even notice. Marge makes mentions oh, he's writing in cursive, so I guess I'm proud of that. But, it's, deliberately ignored that, nobody checks up on any of this. It's not... it's one of these situations where it's that fucking thing of, that's bad writing. I feel like there might even be a name for it. The writing where you make your characters act stupidly just to move a plot along. That's exactly what this is doing. As I know I just said that Simpsons can subversively do sort of joke plots, but at the same time, the brilliance of good Simpsons was that they would do these sort of joke plots that felt kind of otherworldly, like they would feel cartoonish. And then the characters at their core had these, like, these absolutes about them that we knew. We knew how Marge was like kind of honest to a fault. We knew Bart was the infamous hellion, whatever. Homer is stupid, but he loves his children, that kind of thing. And this, they're just dumb to move the plot along. Marge does not question the diary at all. She just goes, oh, he's a sociopath. And then she does an online test, which just, the whole time, they're just believing the online test. I mean, I guess I could believe Marge is sort of like not internet savvy and would believe an online test, and Homer's an idiot too. So maybe, but like, you gotta set it up more. It's just weird. They print out the online test, and now, hey, it's gospel, right? And also just like putting the label on it and stuff. Why would they think, like, that's a joke, dumb fucking premise too, that they put a label on the front of the test? Just take the front page off. They don't change the questions. The front page says sociopath test. Just take the page. Like, it's a joke. It's not funny. It's not funny enough. And it's also just like, why are they that dumb? The label falls off and, oh, Bart sees the truth. And then the fact that, and they make a joke about how dumb they are, because then they call this number on the bottom of the page. They've apparently no idea what it is. And it ends up being the military. And they make a joke about it. They go, oh, Bart's being too much of a problem. What are we going to do? And Homer's like, oh, we'll call this number on the bottom of the test. And then Marge says, we're going to trust our son to an 800 number? And Homer says, he failed an online test. How much more proof do you need? So it's a fucking joke. But they're also trying to just, like, justify. I mean, the characters are acting too dumb. They're doing really stupid things. Like, they wouldn't just fucking send Bart off to this random facility they know nothing about after an online. It's too stupid. It's all too stupid. And so everything, I don't know. Everything just gets speeded along. The characters barely feel present, They don't feel like themselves. They're just fucking there to service this shitty plot. It's a plot that it's unclear who the conflict is for, who it lies with, where if there's an arc in it, I don't know what it is. It doesn't feel like there is. It's just sort of move it along, and then at the end, Bart, feels bad. And then that's the thing, though. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Bart, I guess, feels bad. No, I'm not a sociopath. But, like, Marge and Homer are kind of the ones who have to fucking do penance here, because they're assholes too. And I guess the way we're supposed to feel like they do, because they feel bad through, oh, did we make a bad decision, blah, blah. But they don't really, like, it's one of those odd cases where Bart apologizes, and you feel like, well, Homer and Marge should be like, we fucked up too. We brought you to a military facility after you took an online test, and we believed it. So everybody's wrong. It doesn't feel satisfying at the end. I don't know. God. And I'll just tell you the jokes, it all felt very kind of cruel. It felt like, I always say, Family Guy Jr., Simpsons. Kind of cruel, kind of Raphael's cruel but rude. Sorry, what is it? Raphael is cool but rude. Well, it felt cruel and rude, guys. All right. First of all, this is gross. When Ralph tells his dad he's scared of Bart's murder diary, he says, I was so scared sour juice came out my front tail. That's disgusting. Sour juice out his front. Come on. Oh, he's so dumb. He says the worst thing. Ugh, it's just gross. I don't know. There's all these times with Simpsons where I go, look, they used to put in double entendres and gross things, and I don't know if I'm being a prude and remember, but I just feel like that's just so, it's not funny, it's just gross. I don't know. It's gross. And then also, this is a terrible joke. It's just not a good joke. When Wiggum comes to the door of Marge's house, he goes, your son is dead. Inside. But when he says your son is dead, I will put the picture up on YouTube. Marge goes, oh, bah, 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 and rips her hair in all directions, which is like also a super fucked up joke. Like, there was a moment where Marge thought Bart was dead. Ha ha ha, and she went nuts. She lost her mind for 5 seconds. Oh, what a funny one. They don't really there was a point where it wouldn't have been funny. It wasn't funny, but there was a point where they wouldn't have considered the notion of imagine if we make a joke out of the notion of Marge experiencing the worst psychological trauma of her life for an instant. Isn't that funny? No. Isn't that what we want to see the Simpsons do? Fucking go fucking nuts. have their brains break for like a fucking throwaway joke. Ha ha. Fuck you. Yeah, and then also when they come to give Bart the test, Bart is talking to his stuffed animals. He's playing with them, and I forget. He's trying to intimidate a monkey animal, and then he says in the monkey's voice, he does the voice of the monkey, and he makes the monkey say, "Sit on my banana." That's what the monkey says because the monkey is fighting with Bart. Sit on my banana. All right. I don't know. You can tell me. Do you think this is stuff that would have been an old... I mean, to me, I'm just like, ew. And I just go like, Family Guy. Isn't it? All right. And then one thing that was like, another joke. It was a fourth wall breaking joke. And this is another thing, too. I obviously, one day I have to go back, and I've watched the old episodes, the classics, so many times. But when I was growing up, and I watched so many of them reruns, there's probably loads of them that I haven't seen in their uncut version in ages. I've probably only seen the syndicated version where they chopped the fuck out of them for time. So I gotta, though, remember this stuff. I gotta see it all again and recall how much of this is, I'm overreacting over, and I don't know. Because another thing is, like, they used to break the fourth wall, but they did it I always thought they did it in more like... It was always like animation stuff. It was the stuff like the Itchy and Scratchy one where they say they reuse backgrounds and then you see the background repeat. Or there's that one where Homer has a vision of the kids dressed in drawn in a realistic style. Like those kinds of things. It was always like, I felt like it was always art stuff. It was always stuff done with the fact that it was a cartoon, using the medium as the fourth wall breaking joke. And now, I don't know if it ever was the characters themselves acknowledging the TV show. And that's sometimes what it is now. That's often what it is. It's the characters going, we're in a show. And that feels like the new shitty thing to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You're welcome to tell me. Because this time, there's a part when Marge is like, why did we go wrong with Bart? And Homer says, we did everything we could for him during the commercials. Which is sort of funny. The idea is funny. Like the idea of, while you weren't watching, we did a lot more. Because during the show, they were kind of fucking morons. It's funny, but it's like, it's funny for a different show. Like this show is like, all right, I don't know if that works here in The Simpsons. I am happy to say that, considering how modern Simpsons has perverted the way I feel about The Simpsons, I have a head so full of shitty episodes, as there are now officially more bad episodes than good episodes of The Simpsons. I do still compare them to this ideal I have in my mind that is based on when they were good, and I'm glad that isn't like ever completely shaken. But again, I also have to wonder how much of it I'm just kind of remembering wrong, because I haven't seen the show in ages. There's times I may be overreacting. Can't say. You tell me. Yeah, okay. And then I'll just say the few good jokes. When this was a joke that actually, I don't think I laughed, but when I saw it, I thought, this is like a subtle, clever joke that would have been on during Good Simpsons. And it was when they break into the insane asylum, which again, I want to mention, why is it there? It's a building from the 1800s, and it's just there and abandoned. They really do not give a fuck about it. It's just there, and it's kind of broken down, and there are still files inside, and like, what? Okay. When Lisa's looking through the file cabinet, she's looking for Amelia Vanderbuckle, and as she flips through it, she's flipping through the files, and it's like Anna Vanderbuckle, Albus Vanderbuckle, you know what I mean? So the joke is, there's that many people in the asylum with a Vanderbuckle as a name, which is, it's a cute little idea. When Bart first finds the crazy guy's diary, he reads it, and it's about him. It's like the guy says something about how like he watched a neighbor's house burn down, and Bart's like, whoa, cool. And then he goes, look at me, I'm enjoying reading, which is all right. He's enjoying reading about the murders. And then when Bart finds out he's taking the sociopath test, and then he finds out that it's a sociopath test, he goes, I'll pretend to be the biggest sociopath ever, and I only need to change 3 answers. And because that was one that I thought, well, that's kind of a decent Bart joke, the notion that, Bart, is this close to being a sociopath. Ugh, Jesus. But yeah, fucking, I don't know, just a hollow-ass plot that had 2 plots that should have been basic. One was kind of, I don't know. It was just kind of a mess. And the other one, they ran out of stuff to write, I think. They went, let's just focus on that one about Bart. So I'm going to give this... Oh, and a lot of gross jokes. So, and characters acting like jackasses. So I'm going to give this, what the fuck is going on? Out of... What the hell, man? Cut it out, dog. Jeez Louise. Cool news. Alright, brief news thing. The long thing I recorded last time. I appreciate the people who commented. Everybody was fairly supportive of me not hating my life, creating Simpsons forever. Yeah, I mean, thanks. The people who commented are, you're probably the cool people who will stick with me and see whatever shit I come out with. So thank you very much for that. I hope it didn't sound too grim. I mean, it's just that's just sort of my view of the world. Everybody needs to kind of have a thing to do, right? That's all. As I said, it's not unique to me. It's just you gotta have something to do. And I like to make shit, and I'm tired of The Simpsons, and that's about it. I did want to say too, I mentioned that guy saying he'd support a Patreon of mine if I just did summaries, and I said I'd rather die. I don't know if he'll ever hear this. I don't know if he's listened to, if he'll hear that or this, but I should say I did appreciate the sentiment. I understand the sentiment was meant, in a totally kind way, and it's a dick thing for me to be like, I wish I was dead instead. No, absolutely, I appreciate the notion that he likes what I do that much. It's just I don't. It would be kind of a nightmare to me. To actually do that. Summaries of shit forever. The other thing I'm going to say, very, very brief. I've mentioned a bunch of times uploading it to SoundCloud, doing these on SoundCloud, and as well as YouTube. I always keep them up on YouTube with some images happening. I've mentioned a bunch of times. I know I just keep mentioning it and going, do people want it on SoundCloud? And then not doing anything about it. At this point, it's just out of general laziness, and because I know I'll have to pay, because you can only put so many minutes on SoundCloud. You basically have to pay if you have a podcast, because you're just going to go over the time limit immediately. But my thought was kind of I would keep it on here and see if people cared, and then move to SoundCloud. But I'm also thinking I don't want to cut out the people who would rather just have this on a site for audio. Specifically, it does seem kind of silly to make these exclusively YouTube. So I should probably look into it soon. The one thing I will say this, I would like to ask this question. Let me know in the comments if you are someone who would specifically prefer to have it on SoundCloud. Because I would like to know if there are people out there going, it's kind of annoying this, I have to go to YouTube for this, I'd like it to be on SoundCloud. So just let me know that. And then this is just something else. I'm sorry, by the way, if I talk loads about what I think I'm going to do. I don't know if it's boring or not. To me, I'm always interested in speaking out the process of what I might do or what I'm trying to do. It might be very boring. I don't know. It's probably narcissistic if you analyze it. But anyway, regarding the process of making this, I have started to think that maybe at the end here, when I'm doing the news, this will also be the place for deep analysis of stuff, extensive. I'll write a little more. I'll write very extensive notes. It's not something I'll do every time, but maybe a few occasions I will, especially in the summer when there's not episodes really as much to talk about. It's something I'm thinking I might do occasionally because somebody asked me, one of you asked me on the comments, what I thought of the current season of South Park. And it made me think, because this is something I thought about a lot, once the season of South Park is over, just because I want to see how the South Park season kind of plays out, then I'd kind of like to do a compare and contrast of how South Park and The Simpsons have both handled running for so long, because I've thought about it a lot, and I've thought about the fact that South Park is kind of able to reinvent itself, whereas The Simpsons really is not, and I'm interested in why that is. So I might stick that on at the end of one of these, whenever South Park season's over. This is something I should be a little bit wary of, because once I start doing deep in, that last week, that took me a while to put together, that last week when I rambled for an hour, but that should be a special case. I shouldn't usually talk that much. These should be quite short, and I need to be careful and not let these take over my life just like The Simpsons did, because then what's the fucking point? So, we'll say tentatively, I'd like to do that occasionally, and we'll see. And it's definitely the sort of thing, if you ask me a question in the comments that I think is interesting, it might be something I say, oh, well, that'd be cool to ramble about a little later on another podcast. And that's it. The only other thing, I mentioned my gigantic Dan Harmon interview where I talked to him for like 40 minutes. I mentioned that a few weeks ago. And if you're interested in that, I'll put the link in the description, and I'll tweet about it. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can see. I tweet about all the garbage I do. So you can always find me at Joedevational, JoeTivational. Not exactly the most accessible Twitter handle, I've decided. It's not horrible. If I say Joedevational, you can maybe guess how to spell it, but it's not great. It's not great. Usually, you want to be able to say it, and everybody goes, "Oh, I know how to spell that." All right, I think that's it. Oh, and I forgot to say, this episode's called Paths of Glory, right? That's very odd. That's Stanley Kubrick's first film. That's just the name, and there was one of the Treehouse of Horror sketches this year was called Telepaths of Glory, the one that was a parody of the sci-fi movie Chronicle. And I mentioned it was a takeoff of the Kubrick film, and now they've just used the Kubrick film name, and I can't say I understand why. So, very, very odd. And next week is the episode Barthood, which is gonna be a parody of Boyhood. So that, in theory, should mean that is an episode that was made over 27 years, in which Bart did not age the entire time somehow, and we learn he has the Gary Coleman disease or something. That's pretty much the only way I can see it working out. All right? Alrighty. You have yourself a lovely life. Bye. Thanks. Bye.